to address that issue and that we should not let this legislative session end without passing legislation. What's happening, though, is that the governor recommended a 5% increase, a 5% tax. The House passed a 10% tax. And when it came to the Senate, the issue was, well, what tax are we going to pass? And there was an effort to have consensus and reach out to the House leadership in order to resolve what kind of tax and what the amount is. I would support a tax anywhere between 5 and 10%. And I think that actually 10% would be the highest in the nation. But it's okay, we need more. We need as much money as we can in order to accomplish the goals that I've indicated.
Thank you. I think we have time for just one more question.
I have a question for Ruth. It seems to me that a significant factor in Pennsylvania's budget problems and those of other states is the war. It's a huge expenditure of money to no positive purpose, in my view. And I wonder if you see a role for the legislature in speaking up about this to Washington and saying we need that funding here for education, healthcare, public transportation, sustainable energy, etc.
Well, as you said, this is really a congressional issue that we cannot declare war, or maybe sometimes it seems like a war up there, I don't know. But I see the role where the states are involved is taking care of our veterans, and the veterans who come back, who are serving honorably, serving our country. I happen to agree with you. I think that the right thing is being done, that we've retreated back from Iraq. I hope that in the near future that we will bring our men back from Afghanistan. But we need to ensure that many of these veterans are Pennsylvanians, and they need to ensure that they get the proper health care. It was sad, I'm sure you all remember seeing on television that the care at Walter Reed and some of the issues that the poor care that our veterans were getting. All of us have lived through the Vietnam returnees of our veterans and how terribly they were treated. If you remember that sometimes people spit on some of the individuals who served in our country, no matter how you feel about the war, that these young men have given their lives in some cases and have returned very damaged. So I think that we need to assist and help these veterans find jobs. This is a difficult economy right now, that they need to, we could do tax credits to employers who would ensure to hire our veterans, but there's a lot of issues that could be done, and that's where we could help the young men and women who have helped to serve. And it's not just the veterans, we also need to support their families. Well, you know, when their loved ones are overseas and then the wife, or even sometimes the husbands, because we have more women now serving, that they have to take care of their children. So we need to ensure that they are receiving the necessary social services at the same time.
Thank you, Ruth. All right, I think we've come to the point where we'll proceed to closing statements. And Mary Lou, how would you like to lead off?
Well, I just want to thank you all for being here, and I am delighted to be here and have you listen to all of us. I just, again, want to let you know I am not a typical politician. I actually want to go to Harrisburg. Unlike my opponent, who holds 3 other tax-funded jobs and has publicly stated that she does want to maybe run for another office, I want to be in Harrisburg. And again, I've heard your concerns, not just on the phone in office. I've actually been behind the doors and you know, seen the feelings. And I'm telling you, I took care of a retired nurse recently, and she said that she was an Army nurse, and she was parachuting behind closed lines, and they were shooting at her. And I said, geez, weren't you scared? She goes, no, I was so mad, I couldn't wait to get down there and get them. And that's what I want to do. I want to get to Harrisburg and get them and get things working right. So I hope I have your vote and your support on November 2nd. You won't be disappointed. I'm used to making things better as a nurse, and that's what I'll do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Lou. Kate, let's have you, huh?
Okay, fine. Thanks very much. I think we had a very lively discussion tonight on a number of legislative issues. One thing that we didn't discuss, though, is what a legislator, an effective legislator, can do for you in bringing government to your level and vice versa. I'm talking about small things like getting a handicap placard when you had a knee injury and you need to have that. But I'm also talking about a little bit bigger things like persuading the Pennsylvania Historical Museum Commission, PennDOT, Foulkeways, the meeting, Lower Gwynedd Township, Upper Gwynedd Township, to get together in a room right here at Foulkeways and work out where the road's going to go and where that house is going to go. Okay, now we did that. And you know what? It's starting to bother me. I think I'm going to have another meeting so that we can finish the job out there. But those are the kinds of things that an effective legislator can do for you. I work with the Turnpike folks. We redesigned the Northeast Extension expansion so that we didn't need 105 backyards and we got sound barriers. I think an effective legislator can do those things as well as pass good laws and refuse to vote for bad laws and bad budgets. So I think those are important qualities that I bring to the table. You've supported me before, and I would be grateful for your support again. I would also tell you, I consider myself a citizen legislator. I do work part-time at a very fine law firm that some of you know called Timoney Knox. Tom Timoney's a senior partner there, but I think it's good for me to know what it's like, and I am a partner, to meet a payroll and worry about health insurance costs and worry about hiring and firing. I also follow John Adams, who advised his son Thomas that public business must be done by somebody so you can go into it, but first get yourself a job so that your integrity's never on the line, so that you're never in a position where you vote for something because you can't afford to lose your government job. I never want to be in that position because I enjoy it and I want to stay here and work for you guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Kate. Ruth, would you go next, please?
Senator Greenleaf has served for 32 years and has done an honorable job. However, I believe he is now part of the problem and not the solution. By refusing to publicly debate me on issues, he denied the voters the chance to truly compare our policy positions. This is hardly the time to ask voters to embrace the status quo and take our leadership on faith. You've heard Senator Greenleaf say that he is for the tax on Marcellus Shale. However, he failed to show up when the governor called for meetings between the House and the Senate leadership to negotiate the tax rate. We were originally promised to have a tax by October 1st, and now they have recessed and the drilling companies will have a free ride until next year. Whose side is the Senate on? Out-of-state oil and natural gas corporations or Pennsylvania's working families? As a senior member of the majority party, you should have convinced your Republican colleagues not to recess without passing such important legislation. Failing to enact this tax will harm the environment, make it harder for local governments to deal with the impact of the drilling, and cost the state millions in revenues in time when we desperately need it. We are in need of fresh ideas and innovative legislation, the type of reform that only a fresh voice can bring to Harrisburg. As Montgomery County Commissioner, I was able to work with my two Republican colleagues to find common ground and govern for the betterment of all residents. I want to cut through this partisan gridlock and get back to doing the people's business. And by the way, when I was county commissioner, we had the lowest property tax millage rate of the 5-county area during the 8 years of my tenure. There are politicians and there are public servants, and I am a public servant, and that's what Harrisburg needs. Thank you for having me here this evening. Thanks.
Thank you, Ruth. Stewart, do you have a chance to finish up?
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for inviting us to be here today and to talk about these issues. I think you have to decide what is an effective legislator, and I think there's two ways you determine that. One of it is that person have a professional and compassionate staff that can handle constituent issues, because we do, in my district office, handle life and death issues and some mundane things like license plates that you have to obtain. And I think you've had a contact and an opportunity to deal with some of my staff members, and I think that they are professional and they are compassionate. And the other thing that you have to measure a person's effectiveness is his ability to get legislation through and be effective in getting legislation through. I've introduced legislation dealing with and protecting children, the Megan's Law. I've helped women in dealing with the No Means No rape law. Pets, puppy mill, I was the author of the puppy mill legislation. Consumer legislation dealing with such things as lemon dolls. Senior citizens, property tax reform, victims of crime, tougher crime penalties, and justice in the courtroom I just mentioned and talked about. So I'm saying that, but if you look at a nonpartisan group that evaluates legislators and their ability to get legislation through, reform legislation, and that's at govnetpa.com. That organization has rated me in the top 4 of 253 legislators, of the top 4 consistently, year after year after year, getting legislation through that I just mentioned. And I'll be happy to debate Ruth. In fact, that's what I think I'm doing right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stewart. Well, this is the end of a long evening and 90 minutes of hard work for you guys. I really would like to thank you on behalf of Foulkeways, for coming here. Stewart, Ruth, Kate, Mary Lou, we've enjoyed having you, and I hope that everyone feels as enlightened as I do by having heard your replies to all these questions. Thank you very much.
Round of applause for the committee. David, on the committee, the timer, round of applause.
Yes, because after thanking you, I have also to thank all the people that put me up here, and I just come and do this. But in particular, our coordinators who put the program together and been in touch with you, Sue Arnold and Bob Terrell. My timekeepers, Maybelle Ball and Lorna Schoen, who know how to watch the clock and wave a card. And let me not forget the guy in the back room, Wes Shirk, who has put all the production stuff together, and I haven't had to worry about that. Thank all of you very much.